English 121, Types of Informative Writing, from the Allen and Bacon Guide, pages 168 to 190. There are many types of informative writing that your book discusses. The first of these is a set of how-to instructions. Many processes that seem easy to an experienced person can be very difficult to explain to new learners. Therefore, you want to select a process that you understand well, but that can be troublesome for others who are new to that process. Think of areas in which you have specific skills or expertise, and then try to brainstorm the difficulties that new learners would have. From there, you can break the process into stages that you can highlight with headings and explain each stage clearly and thoroughly. Add graphics or figures as needed, as these images can help enhance the information that you're providing. If your instructions start becoming too long, you may need to narrow your subject. Try to eliminate extraneous details or other digressions so that readers can concentrate on each step, one stage at a time throughout the process. And finally, readers appreciate being told why they are supposed to do something, so be sure to explain the significance of each step. The second type of informative writing that your book discusses is the informative workplace report. Informative workplace reports are real-world examples of informative writing. Always be sure to use effective research strategies as you gather the field data for this type of informative writing. Informative workplace reports also have several conventions that they typically follow. When you're summarizing sources for your own purposes and incorporating them into your own writing, be sure to use paraphrase and brief quotes. Also include a subject line that identifies the subject of the report, followed by an overview passage that states the purpose and maps the structure of the report. Then include a section explaining the writer's research process, and after that, a major section providing the requested information. Always try to achieve a clear, concise style that allows your supervisor to read through the report quickly. In addition to workplace reports, your book talks about informative and surprising articles. When writing an informative and surprising article, try to avoid issues calling for persuasive writing. Instead, imagine a more trusting reader, one willing to learn from your research. You always want to start by posing the research question. Use the template, I know more about X in this topic area than this specific audience. Then you can follow the rule of surprising reversal, which includes an introduction that engages the reader's interest in the question and provides needed context and background, followed by a section that explains the common or popular answer to the writer's question, and a section that gives the writer's surprising answer to their question. In addition to informative articles, your book talks about informative posters. Informative posters combine visual and verbal texts with empirical data. A poster is sometimes called an illustrated abstract. These types of posters are common at scientific conferences where they are a popular means of disseminating research. For a scientific poster, you want to include an opening section that indicates the question and hypothesis, followed by a main section of the poster which highlights your research results and their significance. The function of the poster is to highlight the results of your research while simultaneously attracting an audience by its visual interest and its rhetorically effective choices about what is included. Typically, these kinds of posters are 36 by 54 inches. Effective posters are readable from 4 feet away, use phrases rather than sentences with text limited to 50 words, use lots of white space with content arranged in columns, use headings, use effective visual elements, and have an easy-to-follow structure. You can block sections of the poster for the title, introduction, method, results, and discussion sections. Then determine what visuals will make your poster attractive and meaningful. And finally, create a soundbite heading and text style. Instead of using complete sentences, come up with catchphrases that will help you achieve this soundbite effect. Researchers will often even change the title of the original research report for posters, making it more concise and direct. And finally, posters often recast the writer's research question and hypothesis as an objective rather than the question and hypothesis structure you would see in a more traditional report. And finally, your book talks about empirical research reports, which are common in academic writing and the more text or traditional form of the research poster. These type of texts have very specific and formulaic conventions to follow, with precise sections blocked off with headings throughout the text, similar to what you would be used to from writing a lab report in biology. For these type of empirical research reports, you always want to begin with a determinant research question that can be answered with a yes/no answer or with a number, a range of numbers, or a percentage. Draft your introduction and your explanation of methods before you do the actual research. This will help you think through the entire research process before you've actually gathered your data. If your research uses a questionnaire or a survey, make sure that it is carefully designed and revised before you distribute it. Get preliminary feedback if necessary, because any errors in the survey will flaw or scar your data once you've collected it. In the results section of your report, you want to answer the question, what are my findings? And then in the discussion section, address the question, what do my findings mean? There should be no interpretation in the results section. And finally, the abstract at the beginning of the report is merely a few sentences that will indicate your research question and your hypothesis, as well as a brief description of your research methods. Keep in mind the conventions for all the different types of informative writing as you work in this genre.